So I'm a little bit frustrated because I've been trying to avoid talking about the Marvel version of Santa Claus for years because I've seen him covered by so many other channels, which is why last year I thought I would be smart and do the version from DC Comics since practically nobody but me seemed to know anything about him. Well, this year I figured I would make things even and cover Marvel because this is Comic Drake, so you know that I put an obsessive amount of research into making sure that you're getting the most accurate information possible. And what I found out is that pretty much every other channel that covered Marvel Santa barely scratched the surface, and it looks like they just read some stuff that they found on Wikipedia. And look, there is no shade here. I have definitely done some quick and easy videos too, but after going through every single appearance that Santa has made in Marvel Comics over the years, I have found that not only does the wiki page have plenty of errors that I went ahead and fixed, but also that Marvel Santa is one of the most batshit insane things that they have ever made. And this is from the same company that turned Captain America into a werewolf and released official comics based on the Pope. So today, let's take a deep dive into the weird, completely all over the place, and highly contradictory mess that is the Santa Claus of Marvel Comics.
The character of Marvel Santa is one of the most powerful beings in their entire universe. On many an occasion, he's been implied to be a mutant. I mean, in one of his early appearances, Santa was noticed by the X-Men and was noted as being the most powerful mutant that Cerebro had ever recorded. Santa has a whole slew of powers, abilities, and gear that make him a formidable opponent, and even though he tries not to get into fights, it does happen from time to time. Old Saint Nick is an immortal being that has the inherent ability to tell who's naughty and nice, change the size of objects without Pym particles, turn people into toys, teleport, create snow, and plenty more. Additionally, Santa is a physically strong dude, but reaches his full strength during Christmas Eve, where he can lift up to 2 tons. Santa's magic sack is actually a portal to a storage dimension that he discovered himself, and his sleigh can circle the globe, visiting every single house in just one night. It's pulled by a team of magical reindeer that quite possibly were won in a poker match against Odin, the Allfather of Asgard. All of this could be true, but at the same time, none of it could be either. You see, I originally wanted this video to be a run-through of every single one of Santa's appearances in Marvel Comics over the decades, because I have read them, but nothing adds up. The Marvel Universe has been one long-running continuity ever since they released the Fantastic Four #1 in 1961. But after that, plenty of older comics that they published before then, like Captain America, were retconned into taking place in that same superhero universe. And early depictions of Santa Claus were no exception and were retconned into being in this wider universe. But the real issue is that there's no real rhyme or reason as to who Marvel Santa is as a person, since back in the pre-Fantastic Four era, Claus was this kind of mysterious figure that popped up from time to time to either teach folks a lesson or give them elaborate gifts. But nowadays, writers can do pretty much anything that they want with him. You want Santa Claus to have a gas-powered sleigh who teams up with Howard the Duck to fight an evil humanoid light bulb? Sure, go ahead. Do you want him to be a badass wizard that takes on the Krampus? Yeah, absolutely. How about a shambling drunken mess in his underwear that a bunch of kids hired Deadpool to kill by raising money through GoFundMe? I mean, sure. Go ahead. Every single one of these is apparently valid because of how Marvel is structured, which means that all of this is technically supposed to be the exact same dude, except no, it also isn't? Okay, look, Marvel has made plenty of comedy books over the years that go from light chuckles and fourth wall breaks to straight up absurd and ridiculous ideas and concepts. However, most of them still take place in the mainstream Earth 616 continuity. So what does and doesn't happen in these comedy books within the broader scope of the Marvel Universe is handled on a case-by-case basis.
Now, I am like 99% sure that Marvel has made this really complicated just to piss off overly pedantic nerds like me, and yeah, it's definitely working.
But here's the thing. Marvel has given Santa Claus an entry in their official handbook of the Marvel Universe, which is a pretty definitive source for all things Marvel Comics. More or less, every appearance that Santa has made over the years is listed in his history section. The time that he showed up in the She-Hulk series to flirt with her and use his power of knowing who's naughty and nice to become a detective who solves murders? It's there. The time that he accidentally sold his workshop to the terrorist organization Hydra and needed to be saved by Howard the Duck, a bunch of heavily armed mall Santas, a snot-nosed child dressed as Wolverine, and elves piloting mech suits, it's there. That time that Santa was injured by Dr. Doom and tasked him with delivering gifts that year as Santa Doom, it's also there. But wait a second. That story about Santa Doom and a few others in Santa's Handbook entry are from a comedy series called What The? And if I'm remembering correctly, then that entire series takes place on Earth 9047, which is also known as the Humorverse. And wait another second. The Handbook also mentions the story of when Hitler kidnapped Santa in order to lower the United States morale during World War II, but that took place on Earth 77640, which is another comedy-centric universe. Not to mention that this is further backed up by an interview that Marvel released with Santa himself, where he also mentions that prior kidnapping by Hitler. You don't need to be a comic book expert to understand that this is a different universe from this. I mean, take a look at the art style. This is clearly not supposed to be taken seriously. All of these events from multiple universes being the history of one character seems to imply that Marvel's version of Santa Claus is actually a multiversal being and can appear all over the multiverse in various shapes and forms. This is supported by another section of the Handbook which mentions that Kris Kringle is a magical entity that's an amalgam of all the myths that surround him, and he's powered by humanity's belief in them. Not only that, but Santa is stated to take on many different names and forms all across the world. This can be interpreted as being somewhat similar to how the cosmic being Galactus looks different to everyone that sees him. But there is just one small issue with that theory. There was a quick story about how the Illuminati, a group of some of Marvel's most powerful heroes, loaned Santa the Infinity Gauntlet as a means to deliver presents when all of his reindeer were replaced by shape-shifting scrolls. Because comics. Now, the Handbook explicitly calls out that that took place on Earth 42409, but does not mention that all of the other alternate universe stories happened in alternate universes. This broke me, and is why I've tried writing this video, I kid you not, 5 separate times. But after taking some time to reflect on the data, the answer is glaringly obvious, and personally, it's pretty disappointing. It's just fucking Santa Claus. He's a goofy concept that Marvel never meant to take seriously, and even though they did try to add some level of cohesion to him, they missed the mark pretty bad. I mean, yeah, it is pretty neat that Marvel's Santa is really treated like a figure of folklore, constantly shifting and changing depending on who's telling the story. And in the end, it really doesn't matter no matter how much I try to force everything into a neat little video. Literally nobody would notice these inconsistencies unless they were specifically dumb enough to binge through every single one of Marvel Santa's appearances and put an excessive amount of work into making sense of them. Without the constraints of adhering to strict continuity, Marvel has the freedom to do whatever they want with Santa Claus. If they want him to pop into the Spider-Man series to fight a robber that's dressed like him, cool. If they want him to encourage Ghost Rider to beat the shit out of the Krampus, cool. If they want Santa to magically remove himself from the holidays altogether, thus leading to bizarre all-new ones like Pantsgiving, where people give each other the gift of hot pants, that's just awesome. Because in that instance, at least we have this image of the Punisher in short shorts, and I am forever thankful for that, because all of the guys that are obsessed with manly man Punisher are not gonna like that that exists, so Merry Christmas to me.
I really am sorry that the end result of this was pretty lackluster, but if you think there's something that I overlooked, then please let me know down there in the comments below. And hey, while you're down there, let me know if you learned anything new. And if you like this video, then why not consider subscribing or even watching another one? And like I said, I have also done a video like this for the version of Santa Claus in DC Comics. It didn't break me nearly as bad as this, but it's still an interesting video, so maybe consider watching that or any of the other holiday specials that I've made. But anyway, I hope you learned at least a little something new, and hopefully, I'll see you next time.